look at you. Now, welcome back to After the Snap. This is Engage Live, where we talk our Star Trek-ish on the weekly because we got Star Trek Discovery's final season. We are currently up to episode 4, and that's what we're going to discuss today. Hey, y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna move through this kind of swift because it's been a crazy morning. We had that. I had the children first and foremost. Then we had that Deadpool and Wolverine trailer come out, and I said to myself, why don't you go ahead on and do a reaction to that trailer as well? So that's what I did. And that took half the morning because I'm slow. So here we are now, about to discuss season 5, episode 4, Face the Strange. In this episode, let me pull a synopsis up if I can find one. Hell, I closed the wrong document. I had the document open and I closed it. Silly me. So let's just find a freaking episode and Face the Strange. Discovery. On the way to the next clue, the USS Discovery is sabotaged by a mysterious weapon, leaving Captain Burnham, Rayner, and Stamets as the only crew members who can possibly save the ship in time. This one was directed by Lee Rose, written by Sean Cochran. And it is going to give you all the vibes. Hey, Clarence. It's going to give you all the vibes and feels of some stuff that we've seen in the past on Voyager, some stuff that we've seen more recently on Prodigy, or at least that's what feels the vibes that I got from it was we're going to do the Discovery take on some of these well-loved episodes, especially the ones from Voyager. Even though I'm seeing Prodigy all over the place, and the Prodigy episode sticks in my mind because it's more recent, was the Time Amok, which is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek Prodigy. In that episode, Rock Talk ended up being the key to solving a temporal problem aboard the Prodigy, the ship. You know, I was gonna call that ship Voyager because all of this is making me feel real Voyager-esque, and I'm thinking, or I'm hoping that means that we'll get more threads, more Voyager threads pulled throughout the rest of the season. So let's just go to Face the Strange. We're gonna face it together. So in this episode, at the beginning, we were trying to get ideas on how do we stay ahead of Lal and Mock, meaning, or Maul and Locke. Did I say that the opposite? Maul and Locke, not Lal and Mock. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Anywho, Maul and Locke obviously are not about to give up trying to find Voyager. And what we find out is they way earlier, like 15 hours earlier. Hey, Win Grace. It don't matter. You can be silent sometimes if you want to. Just listen to me run my mouth. Now what the heck was I saying? I lost my train of thought. This real easy to do nowadays. But oh, hey, Reinhardt, didn't know you were here too. Reinhardt said he loved this episode, and they actually went into some technical stuff that Star Trek nerds like him have read the manuals, love to talk about. I think Jonathan is another manual reader. I didn't read the manuals, but if you read the manuals, yeah, you do see them going into different compartments, into different, tracking down this spider. This is Spider. Hey, Thomas, long time no see. Hey, Justin, good to see you. Hey there, Norman. He's jumping out the gate with his review. With his rating, right out the gate with it. So I guess what we starting to see is that a lot of the a lot of the fans of the older works are enjoying this episode. I enjoyed the episode as well. Time spiders, the itsy bitsy spider. Yeah, the itsy bitsy spider crawled all around the ship. And that is exactly what happened. We found Law and why do I keep calling them Law? We found Maul and Locke 15 hours previously to anything that we have seen on the Discovery. 15 hours earlier, Maul and Locke meet up with this I forgot what we call him. What do we call him? He's not a terrorist. He's not a oh, what the hell is he? Whoever he is, he got toys. He's the man with the toys. And he's going to sell them this toy for a large amount of latinum. As it turns out, they bring the latinum in a bag. The latinum has been sprayed with a poison. The poison kills the courier. There's this other guy, and yay, Law. Why do I keep calling her Law? That is not Data's daughter doing this. This is Maul doing this. Gosh. And what the hell was I talking about? I've lost my train of thought again. Maul has beef with this guy, and the beef that she has is you sold some stuff to the Emerald Chain, and the Emerald Chain ended up using it against my people, so I'm going to use this against you. And he's dead. Yay. Well, I don't know if you yay that. We got again a little bit more of information. I wouldn't even call it more story. Just another piece of information about Maul and Locke. And it also looks like Maul is wearing the pants in this relationship, as far as she is the voice and he is just doing what she tells him to do. It seems like he even had second thoughts about some of the things that went on with them basically giving this man this poison. It seems like he's got more of a conscience than she does about it, but he's in love with her, obviously. From these couple of little scenes, we saw a kiss and all of that. So that lets us know that there's some feelings involved, and this is possibly why he's just going along with the things that she says to do. We don't know that for sure. This is just some old Tasha speculation, but it does look like he has more of a conscience than she does. Let's pick some things up. If Sony buys Paramount, this is part of the Spider-Verse. Good job, Wood Grace. And Justice says that movie looks awesome. I'm not 100% which movie we're talking about. Whenever someone brings latinum in the bag, Grace assumes that it's Odo. I wish that for somehow that this would have turned into Odo or some other shapeshifter. Justin, like the techno babble. Hey there, Marge. Welcome to the party. This scene shows just how ruthless Maul is. That's what Marge added, and it is. It's showing that she's the ruthless one, and that Locke seems to have a conscience, but he also loves Maul. So she's pulling the strings around that thing. So we go back to the Discovery. Oh, wait a minute. Reinhardt said, for the guy that Maul and Locke killed, that reminds me of the old saying, when your chickens come home to roost. Yep. They came home. Cock-a-doodle-doo, mother. You know what? The chickens have come home to roost. We got some bridge action. That was like the first thing that we saw on the Discovery. We got some bridge action, and we're asking for ideas on the bridge. And Reese has a fantastic idea that we need to realize that they are going to do everything in their power, Maul and Locke, to catch up to Discovery and to actually get ahead of Discovery. And we still got Rayner being on his old codger-ish, where he's like, nah, they're already out there doing this or that. Reese had a very sound idea. For the life of me, I can't remember what the idea was, but Reese had a very sound idea, and he was shot down by Rayner, like for no reason. And on that note, Captain Burnham said, "We need to go to the ready room, boo, because we and you need to talk about the way you're gonna talk to my crew." Even though I mean, she did it right. She didn't do it in front of the crew. She addressed him, what she wanted to address this situation in her ready room, and then they hit their little site to site transporter and they get transported off the bridge and into the ready room. And I'm guessing the only reason that we are doing things this way is it's a plot device so that they could be in mid transport when whatever goes down on the ship goes down. Because we know that, what's the girl's name? Well, the person's name, Madeira, they brought back a bug from Trill when they came back on the ship. Of course, they didn't know they were bringing a bug on board, but they did. They brought a bug on board, and that bug has infiltrated Discovery's systems and is throwing them into the temporal flux. In fact, it keeps throwing the ship back into different timelines that this ship has already been through. And among those timelines were the Red Angel situation with control and all of that. We saw everything. We saw all of the high points of before Discovery's time jump. We saw all of those high points, all of the big events. This is where we ended up getting tossed back around to as far as the time anomalies are going. When Grace says the idea was that they're hiding and waiting for Discovery to make the first move. And was that not a good idea? Yes, it was. They were waiting on Discovery because they know that once Discovery gets in motion, we can find out where they are, and then this bug will incapacitate them, and then we can get ahead. So Reese was right. Rayner was wrong. Burnham let Rayner have it in her ready room, basically. This is not the way I captain my ship. This is not the way that I want things done aboard my ship. What you did on your ship is your business. But on this ship, we're going to treat the crew, especially when they have ideas, we're not going to shoot them down for their ideas. Someone may have a better idea, but we'll never attack people because you don't like their idea, and that's the way it kind of looked on the bridge. Rayner is old school, and Rayner explained it to him. Hey, the same thing I've been saying about Rayner from the beginning is that he is from the era of the burn. And there's not in that era, there was not time to sugarcoat shit. We don't have time to sugarcoat stuff. I got to tell you what needs to be done and how to do it, and then I need you to execute. We don't have time to have a consensus among the crew, but that's not the time that we're in now. Now we are on a very, very time sensitive mission, but we don't have to be a jerk just for the sake of things. We don't have to be a jerk. So I can't imagine how Reese felt when his idea was shot down in front of everybody on the bridge. But anywho, the fact that they used the site-to-site transport was just so that we see that they are in mid-transport, and they were trying to transport back to the bridge from the ready room after they had their little talk. They were trying to transport back to the bridge, and that moment was when the ship went into its first little temporal way station. When that temporal way station was them walking on the bridge and seeing everybody out. That was when they I think they were first arriving to the future. Marge said, I think Rayner might be testing Michael's limits. And I honestly think that Michael, by the end, learned something else too. And it's like, I don't know if this was intentional or if this is just something I took from it. She got a little softer by the end of the episode. She was like, I expect people to do things my way. I always expect for things to go my way on my ship. So it's plausible that she's like, I was kind of wrong too. And even though I don't see in that instance where she was wrong, she was trying to be a big person, I think. He's testing her authority. Yeah. And I think, yeah, because he's used to being the captain. He's not used to, I don't know how long he's been a captain, but he's not used to having to answer to someone else. And now here he is, he's got to answer to Michael, and it puts him in a position where this is a position he hasn't been in a long time. I get it. I got it. When Gray says, I took this as both Michael and Rainer learning from and about each other. That is perfect. I agree with that. That is even though it's not his personality. In fact, we see people who are kind of more of have a more abrupt personality accept it. Reno has a very abrupt personality. Stamets can have a very abrupt personality. They're accepted. Rainer is kind of like, you're going to have to get like me. And that's not the way it has to be. In fact, it's the reason why it was suggested or intimated that he become the second officer. I mean, the first officer. Why do I keep saying second officer? That he become the first officer, because he's not just going to bend over. He has some pushback on Michael from time to time, and that's actually good. But in this situation, it wasn't good. And now they find themselves moving around through time. I was really and truly hoping that we would get some mud in here, hairy mud. We would go back to that moving around the timeline thing. I wanted to see some more of those quirky moments, but of course, I would have liked to have seen Lorca. Those things don't necessarily have to happen. It would have been nice if they happened. It would have been fan service, though. It would have definitely been fan service. Reinhardt said, I knew that the actor who plays Locke was in something I'd seen before. He was on The Expanse. Guy's a great actor, even under all the prosthetics he's wearing on Discovery. Well, that is good. That's good to know that he was also in The Expanse. One that maybe I should have just gave it more time. I just didn't give it enough time because I didn't gravitate towards that story, but that's a whole different animal for a whole different day. I liked this guy that we were seeing on the screen. He's doing something in the background for inspections, and he's got on listening device. He's listening to music. This is like the first time I think I've seen somebody have on headphones or something as they were working through the ship. And, they had to navigate through this little timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly moment. And that's when Michael realizes, hey, some ish is strange. And probably because we were trying to beam back to the bridge is why we're not getting all eaten up in this strange behavior. They went back to space dock. They went back to dry dock, not space dock. Duh. They went back to dry dock. We see them out here right by the bridge in San Francisco. That bridge, because I don't remember the name. Is it the Golden Gate? It might be the Golden Gate Bridge. Anywho, in the midst of all of this timey-wimey stuff, they are trying to avoid bumping into crew members who are in that timeline. Michael and Rainer and Stamets, because Stamets has tardigrade DNA, so he moves around in the timeline, but he moves around with the knowledge of what happened in the prior timeline. So we see Stamets, we see him in the uniform of that time, but he retains the memories of all the other timelines that he has made a stop in. It sounds crazy, don't it? It is. um, Reno had had a couple of interactions with Rainer that I appreciated. I liked. Here's another part of why it kind of reminded me of the Prodigy episode when they got the literal timeline of how long they would have in each one of these realities. It reminded me specifically of the Prodigy episode, so I love that. So they all get together, Stamets, Burnham, and Raynor. They know that there is this time bug is on the ship. The only way that they're going to stop this bug from doing its nasty work is by killing it. And the only way they can kill it is if they contain it in this certain spot without this temporal flux. But this thing has a freaking force field around it that will just make things worse if things are not done in a specific manner. So they come up with their plan of how they're going to attack this Spider-Verse. And they go through, they start trying to put the plan in action. Oh, one of the scenes that I like is, I like this whole episode, BT dubs, but I really like her going back to her quarters to get the little timey-wimey MacGuffin that we need and running into Book. And in that timeline, her and Book, of course, are still a thing, and they're not in the present timeline a thing. So awkward. I got a feeling that we're going to see them get back together. I feel like we're going to see them get back together because she still loves Booker. She still loves him. The only reason that they seem to be having relationship issues is because of the time apart that they had. And I'm pretty sure some hurt feelings behind the fact that he sided with the enemy in last season's debauchery, Marge said, I love Reno's casual question. Are you stuck in a time loop? I would have answered that so honestly. I so would have answered. I would have been like, yeah. Wingrace said he liked the book scene, but imagine if it was Ash. Oh my gosh. That would have been something. Book fire. That book scene was fire. And we got the obligatory shirts off from David Ajala, because we know we're going to see that at least once or twice a season. Booker, we got to see him with his shirt off. He's like, I'm not doing all this working out and exercise and stuff for nothing. I got to have my Kirk moment, which is shirts off. Reinhardt said, of all the different Star Trek series, Voyager is hands down the king of time loop episodes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of the I was gonna call them the Time Variance Authority. I got MCU on my head, but the temporal investigations, I'm pretty sure they have an extensive dossier on Catherine Janeway. And again, we saw a whole lot of influence from those Voyager episodes in this episode. And I'm sorry, I keep going back to Prodigy because that is like one of my favorite time travel episodes, or temporal anomaly episodes, was that Prodigy episode. And we see that influence here as well. And we also got the mention of the Voyager J earlier in the season. So we're seeing a lot of Voyager influence. And I'm wondering how much, what does that mean? Does that mean that we'll see more of Voyager-ish moving forward? I hope so. I really do. I mean, I know we can't, or I won't say can't, because anything can happen, but I don't think we'll see anybody we recognize as far as characters from Voyager or anything. But it was just, it's so nice that we are nodding back to Voyager the way we are. Oh, and Linus in the elevator in a timeline where Burnham is just coming off of being this big mutineer. Um, got Linus telling her she looks good in red. He ain't asked no questions. He ain't like, why do you even have this uniform on? He's not asking these types of questions. Why are you wearing Captain Pips? He ain't asking that. He's like, you really look good in red. And I think that the fact that he even spoke to her says a lot about Linus, because most people were still treating her like the outsider on the ship. And he at least had something nice to say to her and about her. When Gray says, I think they're trying to connect to every era of Trek possible. Just hope we get a little Enterprise too. I hope so too. Yeah, I would like to see that. It was something I was about to say. Lost my train of thought again. Then these two meet up. And how Avengers Endgame was this, right? And I don't know, everybody is not a Marvel fan. In Avengers Endgame, the Avengers or certain Avengers go back in time. And in some instances, bump into one another, bump into their older self, their past self, which we saw it happen to the Hulk, but he didn't literally bump into his past self. But he was like, man, now I got to act like I used to act in this era. But it really reminded me of Captain America meeting himself and actually getting into a hand-to-hand fight against, mano versus mano. I can do this all day, and same principle. This Burnham, the original Burnham from the old timeline with the curly wig that Clarence likes a lot. I think her wig looked better in this. In I don't know if it's like, did they update the wig or does it just look better on her? They did something different, but I like the way it looked now. But this Burnham, she got a lot to prove. She's got to prove that she's protecting Discovery. She's protecting Starfleet, and one way she thinks that she can do it is this changeling then jumped on board. The changeling with some French braids. So I'm like, why would that changeling change your hair though? If this was going to be a changeling coming on the ship and trying to impersonate you, why would she change her hair and her uniform? But Burnham in universe Burnham in that time, she ain't got no time for questions. She is about to whoop her butt, and by her I mean her own. She's about to whoop her own ASS. When Grace says, I like the fact that nobody commented on the new uniform aside from the Pips, possibly a nod to how frequently they change uniforms for no real reason. This is true. This is true. Reinhardt said it did have a lot of similarities to the Voyager episode Relativity, but I didn't mind. I thought they made it their own story. It picked up off of a lot. The Relativity episode, again, Time of Monk episode. We even saw there were some other mentions, other nods, it seemed, to those time travel episodes from Voyager. I honestly, because Voyager and Prodigy are very related series. So I think they borrowed a little bit from both of those series to make this a stellar episode. Reinhardt said, one of my favorite MCU lines, young Cap, I can do this all day. Old Cap, yeah, I know. Oh gosh. And that's what this looked like. Yeah, I can do this all day. I know you can fight me all day, but I'm just gonna go ahead on and hit you with this Vulcan neck pitch. and put you on your butt for a little while. I'm not gonna hurt you. As a matter of fact, I remember being where you are. Please, please keep your hope up. Even though she knows that she's going to keep her hope up, and to she's going to continue to make amends. She knows that because she is her. So just having that conversation was more or less like for us. It also made us think of Burnham, our Captain Burnham, and not was she a lieutenant commander back then or lieutenant? So not Lieutenant Commander Burnham, but uh Michael Captain Burnham. She knows where she started and she knows where she is now. And that to me is where she started to feel a little empathy for Raynor, because where he started, where this young Lieutenant Burnham started was uh fresh off of the kicking off of the Klingon War. Raynor, where he started from, was being born in an era that seemed like it had very little hope, because based upon how old we think he is, the burn had been his whole life. That's his existence. That's what he knew. So he grew up and he can evolve, but he has to be given time to see that the world has moved past the burn. We have defeated that that issue that we had in our world. We've defeated that, and now it's time for our thinking to catch up with the times that we're in, and that's where Raynor is, and that's where Burnham was. So she starts to feel, I think, that empathy in about this moment. So is Burnham Discovery's ass? Well, she's one of them. As a matter of fact, yeah, she is. Yep, she is. Uh, then we got this chick back, Arium. It was good seeing her. I was glad that they brought her back. I hope that's the same actress. I'm not 100% sure because I didn't check all of that. Because yeah, I didn't. I did not check. Any other time I would check, I didn't check. So somebody is gonna know, and they'll put it in the chat. I'm not 100% that's the same actress, but I do know that Arium is like kind of Spockish, kind of Data-ish. You present her with a solution, or you present her, yeah, because the solution that Burnham said that they had was that Arium sacrificed herself, and they were like, Arium would never do that. We wouldn't allow her to do that. We would find another way. And Arium was like, oh, I very would do that if we had already exhausted all other options. Yeah, I would definitely do that. So because she knows that that's what happened to her, then she started to behave. She understood and believed that this Burnham is actually from a future timeline, and we probably should listen to her no matter how outlandish it seems. And of course, Arium had the comms. Arium was in the captain's seat while Lorca and his away crew were off the ship. I would have loved to have seen Lorca, man. And hey, babe, there's Bryce. He is back. And we saw him before, but I thought that we're only going to see a little tiny bit of Bryce, that we're not going to get him completely back. And not only did we get him completely back, we gave him more to do in this episode. Just even if it's a little bit more to do, nobody got a whole bunch to do besides Burnham, Raynor, Stamets. But we got a little bit more to do with the rest of the crew. I like that they're trying to spoon feed us some more personality of these people. I like that Burnham said, I'm not trying to dance with you. Oh, well, I do not want to dance with you, girl. You got hands. I don't feel like fighting with you. And Bryce was like, I don't even know why we listening to this imposter. And he pulls out a phaser. He's ready to do Captain Burnham. Captain Burnham, he had to be stopped by Arium, and Arium said, we're going to do what this quote unquote Captain Burnham says. And they do. They do what she says, and yay. It got us closer to defeating the time bug, the spider. Yeah, the ass, Captain America, that's America's ass. Yeah. So is Discovery Burnham's, or is Burnham Discovery's ass? Yeah. she laid down on her back though when Captain Burnham gave her the Vulcan neck pinch. She didn't go down ass up, at least, because there's a subsection of America that was waiting on that to happen. Burnham is still like, look, I don't know who these people are, what their intentions are, but we have to stop them. So her and Reese grab weapons, and now they are going to do their whole save the ship. And this is when Rayner proves that, okay, he read up on every crew member. He knows details about each crew member based on what was written in their file and the 20-word conversations that he had with them in the prior episode. And he pulled those 20-word, he pulled those connections that he made with the crew. He pulled them out and used them to his benefit in this episode, and taught him a little lesson that those connections, those ways that you the connections did help. There's more than just making the crew feel good and warm and fuzzy. Situations like this, especially in Star Trek, shit like this happens. You need to know as much as you can about the people that you're working with, because you should be able to spot a difference when the shit goes down, because stuff like this always happens in Star Trek. Wingrave says Burnham convinces them she isn't an imposter. Meanwhile, 2 other members of their crew are imposters currently. Yeah, there really is at least one other person is an imposter. At least one. So yeah, they are imposters. And I don't know what I was about to say behind that. Starting to get a little hungry. I don't know why. And then the thing with Rayner, I thought something far more serious was going to happen to him as he was putting that device over the time bug. But the only thing that happened is that his hand was in temporal flux and it aged. It looked like some what happened to Pulaski in the TNG episode where she got old really quick. I can't remember the name of the freaking episode. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So yeah, same type of thing happened, but this can be fixed. Nothing is permanent in this timeline. His hand can be fixed, but they came to an understanding with one another. They can move around. They know that Maul and Locke have surpassed them and they're gone. But we also know we're in the right place. Our coordinates are correct. Now we about to move into a different part of space. Oh, and I'm skipping something, but before I do that, we're moving into a different part of space, in a different part of this scavenger hunt. And I'm wondering, because Maul and Locke's ship disappeared, is this where we go into another timeline or the alternate reality of the mirror universe? I'm wondering, is this when we see that go down? And we talk so much about Constitution class ships, we're going to see the Constitution class show up again as well. At least I think so. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, what was it I was about? Oh, Zora, oh, just useless ass Zora until you get to certain things, Zora can help. And then the other things, Zora is just a big fat dummy. But in this episode, Zora, one of the alternate timelines that they jump into is 30 years after the events of that day. And Zora is like, y'all been dead for 30 years. I am not sure 100% that 30 years throws them into the timeline of Calypso. But it did look as dire as things looked in that era of Calypso. But in Calypso, Kraft had an issue with the Federation. They didn't even call them the Federation, they called them the Vadrash. We saw people calling the Federation the Vadrash during the burn. We dropped all of those threads. I really hope that if we're going to address the Calypso episode, that it is far more intentional than that. Like where we just drop this little line and let you guys see that there's a dystopic society happening because the Starfleet, the Federation has fallen. Well, the Federation fell in Calypso, but there were still pockets of the Federation enough for the Vadrash to be feared. They weren't warm and fuzzy. They weren't the good guys. It didn't seem like to Kraft. So yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to see more of the Calypso storyline. Have I watched the teaser for the next episode? I have not. Hey, David, good to see you. Yeah, when Grace Zora didn't know the crew was dead, she was staying there because they told her to stay there. It wasn't because they was dead. So Zora didn't know the crew was dead in Calypso, so I don't think this is it, or I hope not. I don't think so either. I hope not to. So I haven't watched the next teaser. I'll watch it after I finish here today. What else? There was something else that I wanted to touch on in this episode. And I don't remember what it was. So too bad. So sad. As far as how I felt about the episode, I enjoyed it immensely. On my regular 1 to 5 scale, I'm probably going to give this one a 4.5 because of the reasons that we just talked about. All of these things that led up to getting an understanding with Raynor, realizing where we need to go next, and just seeing what Maul and Locke, am I saying that? Yeah, Maul and Locke, seeing what they're capable of, how far they're willing to go to win. They want to use this new technology, the progenitor technology, to save something or avoid something. And I still think it's going to be Iconian tech. I really do. I believe that, and the mention of the brain. I forgot about that. I forgot about the mention of the brain, where they didn't say anybody was a brain. They said that is that a brain ship out there where the Federation had been, the Federation headquarters had been destroyed. There was a brain ship nearby. So Zora had to answer Burnham that, yeah, that was the brain. They did some ish. What the hell was I about to say about the brain? I'm changing my mind because at one point I thought maybe Locke was a brain, but now I'm like, nah, he ain't no brain. We might see some brain, but I don't think he's a brain. What y'all think? Tell me in the comments. Wait a minute. Justice said 5 out of 5. Very good episode. When Grace says, my favorite of the season, hampered only by things I wish they did, not things they did do. Yep. Marge said, I enjoyed the chat between Jet and Raynor. Hope to see them share a drink at some point. That would be like the ultimate come back around is him electing to have a drink with Reno because she saved his life. You know, she saved his life in a different timeline, but she saved his life nevertheless. Marge is giving it 5 out of 5 time spiders. I say 4.5. What say you? Where do you guys land on the rating timeline? And what do you think we're gonna see next? I'm leaning strong heavily towards it being Iconian tech. They're gonna use those doorways. You can use those doorways to impact a lot of worlds if you were up to no good. And that is exactly what happened in the timeline where the Federation headquarters was destroyed and all of that stuff. So I'm leaning heavily towards that. I still think that there is more to it than just the Iconian tech, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about all of it, you know, and I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I like the guess, but I don't always have to be right. Hey, I ran through that kind of quick. Iconian is TNG, yes, and I think that we're going. I think it's that episode where, let me see. I'm gonna try to remember. I'm trying to look to see when that episode was. Not the Iconian Gateway. Okay. The Iconian Gateway, or Trans-Dimensional Gateway, was a technology developed by the ancient Iconians 200,000 years ago, essentially a sophisticated transporter, the underlying principles of which remained well beyond Federation science. So these gateways, I'm reading, as a matter of fact, I'll share where I'm reading from. I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so now I don't know where I was. These gateways allowed instantaneous travel over enormous distances, at least 70,000 light years. Physically, the gateway appeared literally as a door, either suspended in space or surrounded by a frame, through which was the destination. An individual could simply step through the gateway, kind of like Carl, as they would an ordinary door, and emerge on the other side. The gateway network allowed the Iconians to travel throughout the galaxy without the use of starships, and was the chief means through which they controlled their vast empire, earning them a reputation among their primitive subject peoples as demons of air and darkness. That was the TNG episode Contagion and the DS9 episode To the Death. Only 2 Iconian gateways were known to have survived the destruction of the Iconian civilization, both of which were later destroyed. The first was found in 2365 inside the only remaining structure on the surface of Iconia, and was accidentally activated by Lieutenant Commander Data as he was investigating the Iconian controls. The gateway apparently acquired possible destinations automatically, including the USS Enterprise D, and the Romulan warbird Hakana. That kind of, it just made me think of something else. The Enterprise D away team used the gateway to escape, destroying the facility behind them to prevent it from falling into Romulan hands. That was in Contagion. The second gateway was discovered in 2372 by the Dominion inside a stone ziggurat on the planet Vandros 4 in the Gamma Quadrant. A group of renegade Jem'Hadar seized the gateway for themselves and reactivated it using equipment stolen from Deep Space Nine. It was believed that they intended to use the gateway to foment an insurrection and mount a takeover of the Dominion. If they succeeded, the rogue Jem'Hadar would then gain the ability to move a force of any size onto any planet in the Federation or Dominion alike. Therefore, a joint Starfleet Jem'Hadar team led by Benjamin Sisko and First Ometiclon successfully retook and destroyed the gateway. This second gateway generated some type of interference that prevented the functioning of energy weapons in its vicinity. So they're saying there were only two, but how do we know? How do we know? Let me go back to see what you guys are saying. Iconian doors seem like an easy way to instantly spread their seed, and they are in DS9 as well. I agree. I agree that it's an easy way to spread their seed, and yes, they are in DS9. Justin remembers there was season 2 of TNG, 2364 to 65. Wingray says there's also an entire novel series around the gateways that collect each era of the show, that connect each era of the show up to Voyager, which is really good. And then Star Trek Online had a whole story and War also, and it was pretty good. Thank you, Justin and Wingray, for those comments. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm still there. I'm still Iconian. I feel like the progenitors and the Iconians may very well be the same, or it could be that the Iconians first got a hold to progenitor tech. The progenitors first had it, and then the Iconians got it from the progenitors and moved forward. So this is where my mind is going. And I mean, either way could be wrong or right, but that's where I am headed. That's the direction I'm headed. Clarence said he's back, had to do his family stuff, and I completely understand that, because I'm gonna have to move around in just a few minutes, because I haven't eaten yet, and had the kids all morning, and then I started doing other ish. I haven't eaten yet, and that's not good for me. So what else was I going to say? But those are the things that I'm thinking. I think about season 5 so far. Wingray says, "Oh, that could be a cool Mass Effect idea. Each of the big empires eventually unlock progenitor technology, and that leads to their downfall." Ooh, that would be good too. Like galactic great resets. Yeah. Like what would happen if there were another big bang? It would just start things over, or destroy everything that we've got here and then start over again, however you want to look at it. I think that's it's plausible. But yes, this season has been very good so far. Very good. No weak links. To me, if I had to choose the weakest episode, it would probably be last week, and it wasn't even that weak. These are decent episodes that we're getting. Very good so far. I'm happy where we at. I'm happy. So I gave my 4.5 out of 5. I see everybody's numbers. Hopefully, with a little bit more chatting or talking, I could be talked into a 4.75. Yeah, I agree with you, Win Grace, because I forgot about him. I still think Kovic is a lot more important than we know. And there's something about him. Yeah. I am truly itching to find out what it is, because I've been really since we met him, he has been somebody who I want to know more about, and I believe that they're intentionally keeping us in the dark about who or what Kovic really is. Kovic, yes, Kovic is the truth. He can't be like from another timeline. You would think he would be just a little smarter, where he would have figured out what that twin moon reference was and all of that stuff. He would have known these things already. I think he's smart enough that he would have figured some of this stuff out without Burnham and Discovery and all of that. But I am very, very interested in finding out exactly what his role is. What his role is. So, do I have anything else? Y'all got anything else? Tell me. Speak now, forever hold your peace. It's been a kind of busy week, busy morning. Phone will just start going all the way crazy. Busy week, busy morning. Okay. But let's see. David said, isn't progenitor an energy weapon? And if so, wouldn't the portal technology be the antidote to the progenitor? The progenitors are the people who seeded the galaxy. So the progenitors would be, remember the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation when what movie was that? The Chase? I mean, what episode was that? There was The Chase. In the episode called The Chase, you had the Romulans, Starfleet, who else? Cardassians and the Klingons in a race to solve a puzzle. Just pretty much what we're doing right now. They were in a race to solve a puzzle, and that puzzle led them to the progenitors. And then the progenitors said, basically, hey, we are your great grandparents. We seeded the galaxy, and in us seeding the galaxy, we created you humanoids. Basically, this is why most of the aliens that we come in contact across the galaxy are freaking humanoid, because they have a common ancestor, and the common ancestor were the progenitors. But anywho, so that's that episode. So if you are interested, you can go to Pluto. I think Pluto has TNG. Pluto is free, so you can watch it for free, for $3.99. And you can watch that episode to remind you of where we were, the chase. Yeah, this is the chase part 2. It could be the Takan Empire. They were very powerful also. And I guess we have to see in which way is the series pointing us. Have they made any mention of the Takan Empire? They haven't made any mention of the Iconians either. So either one of these could be out, but they have described the technology. And the way that they've described this technology sounds an awful lot like the Iconian tech. They could be introducing another alien species who has this type of power already, but then there would be no need for them to point us towards TNG. You get what? Because they pointed us in the direction of TNG as they were discussing this season, that it has all of these callbacks to TNG. And I truly feel like that the answers are going to be in that era. And that might be one of the answers. Just one. Claire said theories on what Locke is. I still don't know, man. And like I said, I thought we were going to find out he was Breen, but then they keep mentioning Breen, and it doesn't seem like they recognize Locke as a Breen, as a member of the Breen, as his race being the Breen. So, wait a minute, have they seen? Yeah, they've seen him already. So many people had never seen a Breen without their full little get up on. But I really want to know, like, is this the Breen, or is he something else? And who is he? Wingray said he thought he saw a Takan guy in the trailer, but it turned out to be from the Trill episode. Clarence said he and Maul seem to be running from something. And to me, Maul is the one, she's out for vengeance about something. Something happened. And it was probably from the Emerald Chain. Something happened, and that something attacked her people. Let me see. So we talked about, Burnham confronted her past and she overcame her personal trauma. We still need to see Raynor overcome his from being a product or a child from the burn generation, where the only thing they knew was the burn. Teamwork makes the dream work. So I'm trying to remember what I was going to say about Maul and Locke. But the bottom line is there has been some trauma experienced by Locke at the hands, or at least her people, at the hands of the Emerald Chain. And she's on some revenge-ish. It looked like Locke is the one that's kind of hesitant. And she is the one that is like, she keeping her foot on the gas for this. Let me see. When Grace, didn't you mention Breen in your video? David says, but isn't their creation technology considered a weapon? Look, I wouldn't consider it a weapon. Creating something, so that would be like the fact that they seeded all of these different worlds with the seeds of life. Life can grow from this point on in this world. The type of life that would adapt to this planet. I don't think that would be considered weaponology, but the way they moved around to get from world to world could be considered weaponology. That is, to me, where the weapon comes into play. What we can use these doorways for, besides something good like seeding the universe, that's where I think Clarence thinks he's Breen, thinks that Locke is Breen. I'm leaning away from it, but it's still an option. Justin says, I thought the trailer had a Takanish symbol. Gotta rewatch. When Grace did mention the Breen in his video, that was his original Locke theory, was that he's distorted Lorca. That would be different. I wouldn't be mad about that, right? See you later, March. Thanks for stopping by. Justice said that would be interesting. Still mad they didn't bring Fred back. No Fred. We still ain't seen Fred. We still got a chance, though. We still got a chance. We can see Fred again. Wingray says, if the creation tech overwrites existing life, it would be a weapon. Future discovery was covered in dust, which wouldn't happen in a ship unless the crew was dusted. Justice says, a creation tech could be changed into it. Genesis was feared. It could be used by Khan to do something evil. Yeah. Yes, this is true. Khan was, they did fear him getting a hold to the Genesis device. So yes, that is true. My tummy growling, y'all. I'm thinking, unless I freaking fall asleep, because y'all know how that is. So Clarence, I'm gonna reach out to you before the live stream if I can join, because I haven't eaten yet and I know what's about to happen to me. I'm gonna eat and then I'm gonna get tired. But I really would. If I don't do it this week, I really, really want to get with you guys before the season ends. And you guys, somebody can join me here. Win Grace, where you at? Clarence, anybody, Reinhardt, anybody who wants to join me, just reach out, let me know. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Okay, so that's where David was going with the fact the fact that the Genesis device could be used as a weapon. But it's like to lesser life forms, you hand them a hammer and everything starts to look like a nail. So you hand them this technology, and because their mindset is so corporeal, so they start to think that everything is a weapon. It takes a violent culture for somebody to say, I'm giving you something to create life and you use it as a weapon. You get what I'm saying? So I was thinking for sure what could definitely be used as a weapon is them doorways, because now the doorways don't have any known use besides moving from one really far place to another, and in the wrong hands that could be used for conquest. Anywho, I don't have anything else. I gotta eat then, and it's been fun. I'm gonna see you guys for the next episode, which is, gosh, I'm not the same with my Star Trek Discovery, because I usually would know, or I would think I would know at the absolute least what the next episode's name is. So the next episode is called Mirrors. And let's see, what is Mirrors about? Did they give us a synopsis for Mirrors? Let's see. I'm very excited to know what is Mirrors. No, they ain't gave me shit. They ain't gave me. I do know that it's written by Carlos Cisco and Johanna Lee, but that's all I know. I don't have. Let me see. They're on this quest to find the thing that created them. This is on StarTrek.com. Let's share it real quick. Just watch the trailer. Yeah, I'm going to watch the trailer. David says, so little known about the Breen, definitely could be a wild card. Definitely there. We don't know enough. Everyone is guessing that it's a weapon in universe. I'm not sure anyone knows what it actually is, but COVID, right? Just continuously saying that in the wrong hands, it could be dangerous, and we saw what happened to the Federation when it got into the wrong hands, so it's something. Justice says, like the tech in Alien prequels, it creates life by destroying or changing pre-existing life. And Wingrace is continuously telling us, watch the trailer, just watch the trailer. So questions are answered in the trailer, obviously. And I'm right here in front of the trailer, but I can't play it for y'all. So everybody get together now and go back and watch the trailer so that you will know the secret that Wingrace knows that he wants to tell us, but he ain't gonna tell us because he's being kind. He's telling us to just watch the trailer. And if I don't fall asleep after eating, I might mention it, might bring it up a little bit in Clarence's chat. We'll see. Thanks you guys for being here. Justin, Wingrace, Reinhardt, Clarence, Marge, Norman, David. Am I missing somebody? Was there somebody else here? All of y'all, whoever you are, thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one. Live long and prosper. Peace.